One day I'm gonna be everything I wanna be. I don't let it get the most of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be everything I'm gonna be. My future right in front of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be free. So let me be free.
From the depths of darkness, a voice emerges. A host with a fire burning in his soul. With a heart steel and a spirit unbroken. He rides on to his ready to claim his throne. Amidst the chaos and the thunderous roar, insane wheels rise as a force to be reckoned with. Fueled by the power that only metal can bestow. He takes his stand, refusing to submit. Insane wheels hear his battle cry. Metal and mayhem will never die. Rituals report he paves his way. More legend in the making, day by day.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We have quite a wonderful, beautiful day here, morning here where I live, but there's a lot of chaos in the world right now. So great to see everyone. It's not necessarily beautiful everywhere, you know what I mean? So I definitely have to be appreciative of where I'm at. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, we have a lot of things to discuss. As you guys know, the Iran ceasefire happened. It's not necessarily even like a real deal. It's a 2-week short deal kind of thing. It's limited. But we're going to be discussing a little bit about that here in a minute. And then there's a White House press briefing that's happening today. Again, I don't think that we're going to be able to catch the White House press briefing because we only live stream for an hour, and they usually do that in the early afternoon. So, and then we have the Artemis 2 update and all that shit. So, let me go and give you guys a chronological breakdown before we get all into the ceasefire and the details behind that. Stick around for that. I'm going to give you guys even my report on that. But first, we're going to give you guys this timeline. So, ICE shoots alleged gang member in Northern California. This happened yesterday, for context, by the way. And then we have Trump suspends Iran attacks for 2 weeks, subject to ceasefire deal. Exactly. So we're not even in a ceasefire deal. It's kind of like an agreement right now. Middle East update. Trump announces, quote, double-sided ceasefire with Iran. And that also is going to include Lebanon. So we're going to have to see how, basically, if the Axis of Resistance is going to comply with that or not. It's going to be interesting, the proxies. Then we have from the White House, quote, nothing final on in-person talks with Iran amid ceasefire. And that came out 12 hours ago, just so you guys know. And then we have Trump's Iran ceasefire deal centers around Strait of Hormuz. Of course it does. That's the whole main reason why we're even doing this kind of thing, is because they're able to shut down that strait. And if they weren't able to do something like that and shut down an entire shipping lane for the world, like a big vein for the world, well, then we wouldn't be having these kind of issues. Or even, we wouldn't even still be there. We would have already left by now. Democratic-backed Chris Taylor wins Wisconsin Supreme Court race.
Bruh.
That is crazy. Crazy talk. Then we also have Trump to suspend bombing of Iran, quote, big day for world peace. And yes, I would hope that everyone, including Trump, would want peace, not to continue war and killing. Then we have from the Pentagon this morning, just a couple hours ago, the Pentagon and Pete Hegseth came out and had a press briefing or whatever, provide first update on Operation Epic Fury after ceasefire announced. So we have a lot to get through this morning. I appreciate all you guys being here and hanging out with us. Real quick, we got Naomi coming in with the $4.99, by the way, saying good morning, Mike and chat. Thank you very much for the 5 spot. Naomi, that goes a very far way, so thank you for that. We got Virginia Chaos as well, gifting out 5 memberships, sending it out. I very much appreciate that, VC. I very much appreciate it. It goes a long way, and it adds up. So make sure if you guys are getting memberships, you guys hang out with us on members only on Saturday morning, man. We have a great time. All right, so let's go ahead and just do the call to actions real quick, and then we'll get into all the craziness. Make sure you guys hit that like button and double tap that screen if you guys are on the vertical side. I very much appreciate it. It's free to do so, by the way. And also hitting that subscribe button. This is what we do Monday through Friday, and then, of course, members only on Saturday morning. And speaking of members, please consider becoming a member starting only at $3.99 a month. We're making sure we're not breaking the bank out there with anybody. But check it out. This is what allows us to be on these airwaves as well as have these lights on. So thank you guys for becoming members and staying members. Little side note here, follow my Instagram at BallValveTV, where I post everything behind the scenes of not only my life, but as well as the show, Millennial Food Time, breaking news, as well as the campaign trail, man. It's a great way to get a hold of me one-on-one. And also, we have a Discord server for all of you legends as well, where we continue the conversation. As you guys already know, I only live stream for an hour, breaking down the last 24 hours to current time, and all the craziness that's going there. So make sure you guys join in on the discussion. Video link in the description down below. Or the invite link is in the video description down below. So thank you guys for hanging out with us over there. And last but not least, man, all super chats, super stickers, gifted memberships, and membership signups are, of course, all going to be presented live and shouted out onto the show. But if you guys would like to skip that YouTube 30% brutal cut that they take from your hard-earned cash, we have these platforms that are scrolling around the screen. And, of course, you guys can donate to that, and I get 100% of the proceeds, and I'll read it out loud just like a super chat. So I've got my email up or ready to rock and roll. All right, guys, we're about to get into the craziness. We got to discuss this this whole ceasefire and get pretty much right into it. But let's go ahead and say hi to a few of you guys real quick. We got Jimmy Mack in the building. We got Charles Darwin from Down Under. Great to see you guys, man. We got Seymour Cannabis as well as Pablo. Shout out to you guys. Hopefully you guys are enjoying your morning. We got Rabbit of Chaos as well, man. Good morning. And Steve Easy, thank you so much for being here as well, brother. We got Easy Frank as well. Good morning to you, kind sir. We got Steve Posey as well. We are rolling our way down. We got Sick Bastard, by the way. And yes, we had a raid from Motobomb, Virginia, and the Coffee Crew, and that's including Sick Bastard. So thank you guys for raiding the channel this morning. Very much appreciate it. We're scrolling our way down as fast as possible, man. We got TVT in the building as well. And yes, Steve Easy is saying, double tap that screen. That's a fact, bro. That's a fact. All right, we're going to get into this. Real quick, we're going to get into the ICE shoots alleged gang member in Northern California first, and then we're going to get into the ceasefire and all that stuff as well. So, oops, I did not share it. Did not share it. Give me 2 seconds. 3, 2. I thought I had it up, but I guess it didn't. All right, here we go. Let's see if it's up. Good.
Now from Fox, I'm your host, Christina Evans. We do have to hit a bit of breaking news I want to bring to you outside of what we've been watching there in Iran. Putting this up on your screen. This is from our partners there at KTVU saying this. Immigration and Customs Enforcement officers shot someone in Patterson, California, leading to the partial closure of the I-5 freeway there as well. And so this is according to the sheriff's office. I'm going to put this up on your screen. It's a live vantage point that we also have of the scene, which I'll show in just a few minutes after this response from the FBI in Sacramento, saying that the FBI in Sacramento is responding to the scene of an ICE and CBP.
What's up, Ghost? Great to see you in the chat, by the way. Good morning.
Involved shooting in Patterson, California. We are conducting a thorough investigation in partnership with the county sheriff's office and are grateful for the Patterson community continued patience and support as this investigation is.
Oh shit, we got Virginia Chaos, my man, coming in hot, super hot on the Cash App for $20, bro, saying realest place to get your news, so here is my dues. My man, you make it rhyme. I very much appreciate that, VC. You guys are awesome, man. I'm very appreciative and honored, by the way. We got Pops in the building and saying it's a very chilly ride this morning. We'll make sure you ride safe out there. We got Tiffany as well. Good morning to you. Great to see you in the chat, by the way.
In its early stages, we are unable to release additional information at this time. And so once again, we have this live vantage point taking you out to it to show the portion where this freeway is shut down, watching all of this reaction. But again, in a statement to our partners there at Fox 2, the ICE Director Todd Lyons identified the man that officers shot as Carlos Ivan Mendoza. They say that he is an 18th Street gang member who's wanted in El Salvador for...
Who?
Carlos Ivan Mendoza. They say that he is an 18th Street gang member.
Shit.
Who's wanted in El Salvador for questioning in connection to a murder. Lyons did not state whether that murder occurred or who was killed, and a spokesperson for the agency has not yet responded to any further comments on this. But again, that was according to our partners there at Fox 2. But what we do know is that the U.S. Department of Justice does consider the
What's up, Orlin? Great to see you in the chat, by the way. Hopefully you're enjoying your hump day morning so far.
18th Street Gang, Los Angeles' largest street gang, with members hailing from the United States, Mexico, and Central America.
I don't like this bitch talking on some shit she don't know about.
Angeles' largest street gang, with members hailing from the United States, Mexico, and Central America. This is what's being reported that happened at the time. Officers approached the car. Mendoza then, quote, weaponized his vehicle in an attempt to run an officer over, according
Damn, motherfucker was not playing.
to Todd Lyons, there, the ICE director, saying that ICE officers then fired defensive shots to protect themselves and their fellow agents and the public. Mendoza, though, was ultimately taken to the hospital. Lyons said the operation to find Mendoza was a targeted operation. Efforts, though, to speak to Mendoza or to determine if he had an attorney or family were not immediately successful. Here from our partners at Fox 2. But the sheriff's office did write on Facebook today that no local law enforcement was involved in this incident. The sheriff did first report about the station around 8:30 a.m. local time. And so once again, we're seeing there from the scene, it appears that things are still shut down on this I-5 freeway in connection to this ICE shooting. Again, the on and off ramps there at Sperry Avenue have been closed. This area apparently is in the Central Valley, about 30 miles southwest of Tracy, and is also known locally as the apricot capital of the world. And so we'll continue to keep you updated.
Yeah, of course, and that's something that I would be following as well. Anytime that we get any more information on any of these stories that we present, of course, we do our best to follow up on them. All right, we're going to move on. So Trump suspends Iran attacks for 2 weeks, subject to ceasefire deal. This is going to be a double-edged, double-sided ceasefire. Quickly, let me go ahead and bring up my report on this. Let me go ahead and just go to my YouTube channel here. And I posted this yesterday. And let me go ahead and share this screen, and I'll give you guys my report on this whole thing. Okay, so this is what I wrote. President Trump has stated that a temporary 2-week ceasefire agreement with Iran has been reached, signaling a potential pause in escalating tensions. At this stage, details remain limited, and key questions still need to be answered. The first one being what conditions were agreed upon by both sides. Number 2 is whether proxy groups will adhere to the ceasefire. And 3, if this leads to broader negotiations or is simply a short-term de-escalation. As always, early reports in fast-moving geopolitical situations can evolve quickly. We will continue monitoring official statements, defense briefings, and international responses for confirmed developments. Stay informed, not reactive. So yeah, that was my report on the whole thing that happened yesterday. So let me go ahead and bring this up, and we'll go ahead and discuss what the mainstream is talking about here.
And welcome back, everyone, here to Live Now from Fox. I'm your host, Mike Page. We come back to you with breaking news. We were talking about earlier.
Shit, I haven't even pulled it out yet. You know, we got to get that counterclockwise tobacco. We got a couple twisted up. Shit. We're slacking over here. It's definitely slacking. There we go. Now we're good. All right, cheers to everybody. Let's go.
About the markets really showing signs of strength, and now we know why. President Trump just putting this out on Truth Social, saying
this is what I saw right here last night.
Based on conversations with the Prime Minister of Pakistan, and
this was like right before 8 o'clock Eastern,
wherein they requested that I hold off the destructive force being sent tonight to Iran, and subject to the Islamic Republic of Iran agreeing to the complete, immediate, and safe opening of the Strait of Hormuz, I agree to suspend the bombing and attack of
That's right, real alien encounter. Great to see you in the chat.
Iran for a period of 2 weeks. This will be a double-sided ceasefire. The reason for doing so is that we have already met and exceeded all military objectives and are very far along with a definitive agreement concerning long-term peace with Iran and peace in the Middle East.
What's up? We got Charlie Rose in the building as well. Shout out to you. Good morning.
We received a 10-point proposal from Iran and believe it is a workable basis on which to negotiate. Almost
And
all
we got chatting with Stacks as well. Good morning.
of the various points of past contention have been agreed to between the United States and Iran, but a 2-week period will allow the agreement to be finalized. On behalf of the United States of America as president and also representing the countries of the Middle East, it is an honor to have this long-term problem close to resolution. Thank you for your attention to this matter. And then signs it President Donald J. Trump. So that is the breaking news, of course, coming from the White House, coming from President Trump himself on Truth Social. Less than 90 minutes away from his deadline.
Right.
Now we are seeing that extension play out in real
We got Joseph up there in Canada, by the way, our favorite snow Mexican. Great to see you in the chat, bro. Hopefully you're enjoying your hump day morning.
time. And we are seeing the markets once again jump in futures. Dow futures right now up 400 points, S&P 500 up 55 points, and NASDAQ pointing to up
What's up, No? Good morning.
over 240 points.
You know what's funny is I'm somebody that's invested, in a couple of different ways, whether that be the stock market or gold and silver. And you know what's funny is the first thing that most people do during these kind of times, they watch the market, right? It's funny because I'm such a long-term holder that during this whole process, I haven't even looked. You know what I mean? Like, I know that my shit went down for a little bit, and then right now, I bet you that my shit has gone up quite a bit, just from this geopolitical announcement. But the point is like, I'm not here for a short-term gain, so it's kind of irrelevant. I just let it sit, and I try not to look at the market too much. But right now would probably be a good time to look at it and be like, oh, nice. You know what I mean? Anyways, back to this.
Again, investors continuing to look at this, and we'll continue to digest that news.
Yo, mama, shout out to you, by the way. Good morning.
And we will wait for more updates, not only from the Trump administration, but the Department of Defense, as well as other policy makers. So stay right here with us on Live Now from Fox as
What's up, Gary?
we again bring you this breaking news of President Trump suspending the bombing run for tonight. Remember, that deadline was set at 8 p.m. Eastern. He is now doing a 2-week
What's up, 5150, by the way? Good morning to you.
ceasefire extension. So we are keeping an eye on all of those developments, but it just came down in the last moments, and we wanted to bring that to you as President Trump suspended the bombing for at least.
Well, for at least right this second. You can't even say for 2 weeks because, there's always reasons why ceasefires get broken, right? So anyways, extra surprise. Appreciate you hanging out with us this morning, by the way. Great to see you in the chat, bro. All right, we're going to go ahead and move on from that. We got a Middle East update. Trump announces, quote, double-sided ceasefire with Iran, and that I believe this all includes Lebanon up there. So let's go ahead and see this.
All right, welcome back in here to Live Now from Fox. I am Andy Mack. As we approach that 8 p.m. Eastern time, it was set for the deadline, but they have the Middle East backed away from the brink of escalation as some stark threats from the president earlier on today, talking about the demolition of Iranian.
And you know what's funny, Sterling, is gold is not even what I would expect it to go up or down right now. What I actually expect is the stock market to be reacting way more than precious metals, right?
Civilization. Now a double-sided ceasefire in place between the United States and Iran, also Israel involved, as we are seeing this from Reuters. Phil Stewart talking about the national security aspect of this, saying started the day with a threat to end Iranian civilization, ended it with a ceasefire. So some optimism around what could come with these discussions. And we are hearing some more of what could be involved. Barak Ravid from Axios saying a first round of negotiations.
Oh, shit, Steve. Yeah, I think that's what you were talking about, that you've seen reports that Israel has done that, and it wasn't necessarily the United States. I can't confirm or deny that, but I have not heard of any reports that the United States has attacked any type of oil infrastructure. Not yet. I mean, I'm not saying it can't happen, but I haven't heard that. I've heard it was on the Israeli side, if anything, but I haven't heard any reports on the United States doing it.
Between the United States and Iran on an agreement to end the war is planned to take place in Islamabad on Friday, according to sources.
Yo, we got Cameron up in the building. Shout out to my man. Hopefully you're enjoying the morning, by the way. We got Grid 1 Motorsports as well. Great to see you guys in the chat. We got Abe Dinkus as well. Always appreciate you guys. By the way, we have over 181 people in here right now. Make sure you guys double tap that screen if you're on the vertical side and hit that like button if you're on the horizontal. I very much appreciate your guys' laborious engagement. But listen, you guys don't have to like it for the craziness that's happening around the world. You guys can like it for me and what we do here. So thank you guys for that.
So potentially some good news about that. Also coming in, Aisha Hasni, Fox News Zone, saying the White House press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, saying there are discussions about in-person talks, but nothing is final until announced by the president or the White House. So still some uncertainty about exactly what those talks may or may not look like and where Pakistan might be involved in all of them. So we're following it all here on Live Now from Fox. And this was the original post from the president talking about this double-sided ceasefire now in place on the contingent upon the complete, immediate, and safe opening of the Strait of Hormuz. We also heard some contingent.
We already heard this part, so we're going to skip. We already reported basically that entire post right there. Now let's go ahead and get a little bit of this here.
Posting that sirens are sounding across southern Israel.
This is being posted from Trey Yingst. That's the Fox reporter over there in Israel.
Amid new incoming fire, potentially
in Tel Aviv.
And likely from Iran. How much could this be? Saying cluster munitions raining down right now on Tel Aviv, and we are just minutes now into this ceasefire taking place. How much is Israel involved in this? How much do they need to be saddled up next to the United States?
Oh, I'm sure fucking Israel's pissed. I'm sure Israel's pissed. They don't want no fucking ceasefire right now. I guarantee you. They're like, we want the United States to put your shit down. Oh, I'm just kidding. I'm just saying. But nonetheless, yeah, you know.
For the next couple of weeks.
That is a very interesting and important question. I caught the double-sided piece of it, not three-sided piece of it as well. And by the way, the reports not only of the Israel thing that you just mentioned there, but there's reports.
What's up, brother 13 in the chat, my man? Great to see you in the chat.
About missiles headed to the UAE. So look, there's multiple players here. The Iranians, in whatever set of wisdom, they've been firing at all of their neighbors in the region for whatever calculus that seems to serve. So we will see if this holds. I think it will hold because, again, the U.S. is in so many respects the most important player here. But again, back to implementation and enforcement. It's going to be, the onus is going to be upon the White House. The onus is going to be upon the United States to call a spade, and to call out the Iranians for violating the terms, whatever the terms and conditions are. And I'm just going to use a phrase here, to snap back to the maximum pressure that we've been seeing here. You know, this is the phrase snap back on the sanctions from the Obama period, or the Iran deal from, you know, a decade ago. So I think the onus is going to be on the White House to, no kidding, walk the walk, and to be prepared to snap back if and when, I would say, the Iranians begin to not comply.
How delicate is
it? Yeah, there's definitely going to be excuses. Excuse me, as to why the ceasefire will be broken. I mean, this is always a problem with ceasefires around the world. It's not just something with the United States.
Or moves, and we'll see if the traffic gets moving through that region, because Iran seemingly put some conditions on what it will look like. This is a statement from them saying for a period of 2 weeks, safe passage through the Strait of Hormuz will be possible via coordination and also with due consideration of technical limitations. So it's interesting they put those two.
We got Carrie over there from Rob's Neighbor. Great to see you in the chat, bro. Good morning.
Two caveats on this, and this is an international waterway. They have had the threat of striking tankers in the region.
TVT, this is yesterday leading up to, we're leading up, you know what I mean? Absolutely.
The insurance obviously spiking, so there's a risk-reward factor as well as a military factor in it. What do you make of that? Will there be tankers freely moving through the Strait of Hormuz?
Yeah, due to technical considerations is a pretty big limitation there. So look, I think everybody kind of wants
What's up, Dark Soul? Good morning.
A bit of fresh air, a bit of relaxation, especially on the economic front. That's going to help folks in Europe. That's going to help really the price of oil everywhere. People are already speculating now what the price of oil will do tomorrow morning, for instance.
Yeah, we all know that. All that shit is just speculation. So anyways, we're going to go ahead and move on. Coming from the White House last night, I mean, this is like at 10 o'clock at night or something like that, my time. White House, nothing final, quote unquote, on in-person talks with Iran amid ceasefire. So I do want to hear briefly what they've got to say about this in particular, and then we'll move on into the actual ceasefire deal that centers around the Strait of Hormuz and the details behind it a little bit.
As President Trump has officially announced a 2-week ceasefire with Iran. The ceasefire was mediated by Pakistan, and it was subject to
the opening of the Strait of Hormuz, which Iran says it's going to do. It's going to open the strait. Let's bring in retired Marine Intelligence Officer, National Security Analyst on the host of the Strap Podcast, Hal Kempfer. Hal, we've been asking the audience to send questions in, and Aaron is asking about something that I'm also curious about. What is...
Yo, that's facts, Steve. I just got to say, hit the like button for a one-legged man outbeating and outracing a two-legged man. You know what I mean? Feels ultra good to be a G.
Is Iran's plan during this 2-week ceasefire? How much time is 2 weeks, and what kind of things can Iran do within that type of time span?
Well, Austin, first off, 2 weeks is not a lot of time. All right. However, the thing I'm going to be looking for tomorrow is I want to see if they're going to open the Strait of Hormuz. That's a requirement. That's a hard and fast.
So right now, theoretically, it should be open right now. Theoretically. But let's go ahead and see.
They got to get the fertilizer out there in order to get that going. So that's going to be a big one. Now.
Yeah, if you guys didn't know, the fertilizer, most fertilizer actually comes from around this region. They move an immense amount of fertilizer, and we buy from them as well, you know, from this area. So, yeah, there's a lot of fertilizer that goes through this strait.
What Iran do? Iran's going to have to negotiate in good faith. They're going to probably have to do something big.
Yeah, Dark Soul. So here's the sad thing about ceasefire agreements or whatever, anytime there's ceasefires. Trust me, I've been reporting on you know, shit when there was ceasefire agreements with Hezbollah, with Gaza. I mean, or, you know, not with Gaza, but, you know, with Hamas. But you know what I'm saying. Anyways, there's many times where there is a ceasefire that happens, and then there's a clause within a ceasefire. You can still theoretically attack them for the next 24 hours within a 48-hour period or some bullshit. It's like actually stupid. Like, let me get the sound effect. It is actually stupid. I'm not really sure why things like that is allowed in the fine print or whatever, but oftentimes you will see attacks happen directly after a ceasefire was agreed upon. That's like their last hurrah. It's so fucking bizarre. But anyways, here we go.
They don't want to do with that enriched uranium, which is to allow international inspectors there, to allow the enriched uranium to be...
well, yes, Charles, in context of how much time is that in the aspect of war or whatever, you know what I mean? He cut himself quick, and I would do some shit like that if I were in his shoes.
Relocated to another country. There's just a lot that has to happen with that, and I don't see that dropping. Now, that 2 weeks is time to negotiate another 2 weeks or another week.
Steve Easy, I didn't know that was the number, actually, 40%. Wow.
Or whatever. And once things are flowing in and out of the Strait of Hormuz, if discussions are going in the right direction, you might see this lengthen out to be a longer ceasefire. But we have to see what's going to happen. We have to see, first off, are they going to comply with that initial part? Now, I will say tonight, you know, you probably heard the phrase, the calm before the storm. Well, in Middle East ceasefires, you'll often see the storm before the calm, which is everybody fires everything off right before the ceasefire takes effect. And one of the things we're watching is that...
What up, Provoke? Hopefully you're enjoying your morning as well.
Somebody in Iran was firing off ballistic missiles after the ceasefire took effect. They stopped shortly afterwards, but missiles were dropping around Israel and elsewhere around the Middle East. And the question was, who authorized that? And do they really, as whoever we're talking to, do they really have control over their security apparatus?
Yeah, I was reading in Axios that U.S. officials told Axios that they anticipate the low...
Here, TVT, I got you, homie. I got you.
Why are you gay? You are gay.
Lower level IRGC levels, they get these messages on sort of a delay, is the way it was written about. And that was actually going to be one of my questions for you. They say that if a message like that gets delayed to the lower ranking members of the RGC, yeah, I mean, it makes sense that you could see some fired missiles after the ceasefire takes place. But if we could look into that, why does it take time for lower ranking members of the IRGC to get, I mean, important news like, hey, stop shooting?
Part of it is we've degraded their command, control, and communications network through this.
Yeah, no kidding. Not only on from a military, like officials kind of level, but as well as technology. I mean, we've taken away a lot. I mean, a lot of their internet. They're blacked out. They're Iran themselves are not wanting the civilian population to get internet either. So there's a lot. I mean, just communications are broken right now.
War. We've done a lot of things that are less apparent to those looking from the outside, but we've significantly.
Hey, Grid, I very much appreciate that, my man. Hopefully you enjoy the rest of your day and have a good meeting.
Degraded their ability to communicate effectively with all their disparate parts. If you recall, when this thing kicked off, you know, it was a decapitation strike that took out the supreme leader and about 49 other really top leaders. And you saw this kind of lag effect. There was a kind of a slow response, slow retaliation. You know, you knew Iran was going to retaliate, but it was really kind of a slow retaliation before it finally kicked off. And that was because of this very tight command and control thing they had, where it went to only top decision makers. It's a autocratic system. It doesn't reward initiative at the lower levels, and because of that, they wait for higher headquarters to give them an order. So if their last order was to fire, they will keep firing regardless of what they think the situation might be, until someone tells them specifically not to fire. And if that comms path, the communications path, is degraded, so there's a delay in getting that, then you will see missiles get launched. The concern is that somebody there could have actually been saying, hey, keep firing just for a little bit. Let's kind of push the envelope here.
Right, and that definitely happens within ceasefires as well. Like, hey, we can always say that we didn't have communications and we didn't know. Hey, we didn't know.
And launch a few more missiles in at the very end, in the idea that maybe it'll provoke a response, which they will then claim that the other side violated the ceasefire. So I think we're going to find out more about this and find out what the specifics are, but it is something we have to watch.
Yeah, it's worth also underscoring that it appears, at least from the initial reports, that this does not only affect the U.S. and Iran. This will also bring a ceasefire in the Israeli direction as well, and in Lebanon, obviously.
So there we go. Three-way. Okay, United States. Well, it's actually four-way, I guess. In the United States, Iran, Israel, and Lebanon. Okay.
Hezbollah and the IDF have been at war with each other as well. We're looking at video from the IDF.
Now, the question is the ceasefire in Lebanon with the Lebanese government, which is completely different than the activist groups such as Hezbollah or terrorist organization. So there's the last time we had a quote unquote Lebanese ceasefire, what we had saw what was happening over there with Israel is, yeah, I mean, I don't know. So let's just go ahead. Let's go ahead and hear what the fuck they got to say here.
In Iran and Lebanon. Hal, Paul sends this question in.
Well, what I was getting at there is that they end up going and agreeing with a ceasefire with, I thought that he was going to continue with it, but I guess not. But the last time they ended up having a negotiations of a ceasefire with the Lebanese government, not with Hezbollah. And then that's the trick, is getting the Lebanese government to get their own organization under control that's in their country, right? So it's kind of like a fucked ordeal.
U.S. not afraid that Iran is just using this time to mobilize their units for a more strategic attack.
That's something that we'll be watching very closely. And from an intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance perspective, what we call ISR, everything's going to be turned on during this period. We're going to be watching everything they do to see if they're using this period to dig out these collapsed entrance tunnels to these underground missile cities. We'll be watching that very closely. We'll be watching anything they do around their nuclear facilities. Certainly anything in and around the Strait of Hormuz, whether it's anti-ship missiles, small boats, midget submarines, whatever. We're going to be watching that very, very closely. Twofold. Number one, to figure out if they're trying to set it up to go back to war again or do something, nefarious and surreptitious.
Yeah, so guys, I put a a whole poll in the chat for you guys. Make sure you guys answer that. Do you think that we're going to end up seeing some sort of, actual ceasefire from this whole thing? Or do you guys see that this is going to last? I think that this is a de-escalation move, personally, but it's going to end up the same here in 2 weeks. That's going to be the end. There's going to be a total problem with it. So I just don't see a great light at the end of the tunnel kind of thing yet. I really hope that we can get to that point, honestly. All right, we need to skip ahead here. Right after that report that you guys were seeing last night, there was another report. Trump's Iran ceasefire deal centers around the Strait of Hormuz. Of course it does. That's the whole reason why we're even still there, is because they can control shutting down the strait, right? And so that does not only affect the United States, but affects the rest of the world as well. So anyways, here we go.
Okay, let's track the latest in the Middle East. Rebecca Castor with this roundup.
A deal coming together at the 11th
What's up, Matthews? I think that's how you say your name. Great to see you in the chat,
hour
man. Good
before a
morning.
critical deadline set by President Donald Trump. The U.S. will suspend bombing Iran for 2 weeks in exchange for Iran reopening the Strait of Hormuz. That's the deal brokered Tuesday night with help from Pakistan after a flurry of last-minute negotiations.
This is a big win for President Trump. I think Iran blinked.
President Trump says the ceasefire agreement could pave a way towards a lasting peace.
The pressures on
That would be Hormuz there, Jimmy.
the Iranians, and if they want to stay alive, they'll get hot on these negotiations.
Tehran's enjoying its first quiet night in more than a month after President Trump pressed pause on his threat to wipe out Iranian civilization. Earlier in the day, Iran had positioned civilians around power plants.
By the way, real quick, before we continue on, we've got 270 people in here between both live streams. Make sure you guys double tap that screen if you're on the vertical side. Hit that like button if you guys are on the horizontal. I very much appreciate you guys' engagement. Listen, there's a lot of craziness that we're watching here. You guys don't have to like it for that, but you guys can like it for me and what we're doing here. So thank you for that.
And bridges that might have been targeted by the U.S. Tuesday's agreement coming together despite or maybe because of Trump increasing the temperature of the talks.
The president is pursuing coercive diplomacy with military action.
We don't go threatening genocide. We don't threaten to wipe civilizations off the face of the earth.
Even Pope Leo weighed in Tuesday, urging an end to the conflict.
Which is only provoking more hatred throughout the world. So come back to the table. Let's talk. Let's look for solutions in a peaceful way.
President Trump says he received a 10-point proposal from Iran to end the war, calling it a workable basis to negotiate from. In Washington, Rebecca Castor, Fox News.
We continue to track the Strait of Hormuz in real time. By the way, this is courtesy of Marine Traffic, kind of giving you an idea of where some of these ships are. It'll be interesting to track this map in the coming days to see what type of activity we.
Yeah, it is going to be interesting. And this is from last night. So just right after the ceasefire, quote unquote, agreement had come to an effect. So we're not seeing any movement at this exact moment. Now, what the question is how the strait looks right now. And we do have updated info and stuff like that. So we also have the Pentagon here, that our last story that we're going to end up doing, but we still have four total stories to do here. But the last one is Pete Hegseth and Chairman Kane provide first update on Operation Epic Fury after the ceasefire was announced. So we have that just happened this morning. But first, let's go ahead and skip ahead a little bit here. And instead of getting questions and stuff like that, what I do want to see is if they have any breaking news while this is happening. The Associated Press looks like
Iran is coming into this with the United States giving more in the opening session, at least during these 2 weeks.
So just got some.
Oh, so wow, man. Alan here, he's insane, like on the TISM side, like in a very good way, by the way. This motherfucker breaks down shit like, I mean, what you guys see behind him is an exact graph of basically what the United States demands are, and then what the Iranians' demands are. So very, very interesting. And what we are offering is in blue down there as well, by the way. What they would essentially get if they accepted.
Associated Press. They say Iran has included the acceptance of enrichment in the Farsi version of its ceasefire plan, which is something that's missing from English versions. This is something that's new. This is a headline. I'll have to read.
It's coming right out from the Associated Press.
Deeper into this, and presumably you'll have to as well. Have you heard of this type of idea before, Alone? Perhaps one version in one language having something in it, and then the documentation in another language is missing it?
We unfortunately see this often, actually, when it comes to negotiations in the Middle East, because like in the United States, at this point, the main concern for the different actors in the Middle East is to sell this to their population. Israel, Prime Minister Netanyahu now has to go back to his population and say, look, this is why we won. This is why the war was justified, even though we didn't get regime change like we said. This is why. The United States, Trump, you can rest assured, is going to come back and say, we won, we've already achieved, he's already said we achieved most of our military aims, and we've won. In Iran, the same thing. And it's very common, because of the different languages, that Iran will be sending certain versions out into social media and into the world in regards to what they want the West to hear. But when talking to their own population, they're going to present a different version.
Right. So I want to see this real quick, what they're bringing up. And basically, these are all the strikes that have been struck as well, by the way. Those are all the red that he's showing on his map up there.
Trump said that the United States is going to attack bridges. All of a sudden, Israel started attacking at least 8 different bridges that it said were used by the Revolutionary Guards. And we also saw Israel carrying out attacks against train systems. Israel issued warnings about train systems in Iran, saying to people that they should avoid them because they're being used to mobilize weaponry from here to there. And then there were reports throughout the last 24 hours of attacks against the train systems. I would hypothesize that this is Israel trying to carry out some final attacks, because Israel at this point is beholden to Trump. If Trump tells Israel stop the attack tomorrow, the attack will stop tomorrow. If it said yesterday, it would be yesterday. So Israel at this point is trying to carry out whatever last attacks it can carry out. But those are the 2 new types of attacks that have been carried out. Other than that, it's been a repounding of the same areas again and again, because like we've seen in all of these circumstances, Iran's not just sitting by. Their facilities are attacked.
These are specific bridges that were taken out, by the way.
They rebuild them. They are constantly rebuilding. They have very deep underground these different, what we call missile cities.
Right, they're underground cities. It's incredible. I mean, if you guys have ever seen, for instance, Hamas's underground city. I mean, basically, Gaza, the city above ground, it's just as big, if not bigger, below ground. You know what I mean? It's fucking crazy. Anyways, let's go ahead and skip ahead a little bit here, and we'll see if we get any updates here from any official. We have not, so we're going to move on. All right, so another little side note before we get right back into the whole Iran side of things, what's going on over there, and the United States and the ceasefire. We have something that we do have to show real quick. Democrat-backed Chris Taylor wins Wisconsin Supreme Court race. That's actually a big news deal. So let's go ahead and bring this up real quick.
Welcome back to Live Now from Fox. I'm Shauna Kalafi. We are following this news out of Wisconsin. This is from the Associated Press on X, saying breaking news: Democratic-backed Wisconsin Supreme Court candidate Chris Taylor wins, increasing liberal control of the state's highest court to 5-2. So Democratic-backed Chris Taylor defeating Republican-backed Maria Lazar in the Wisconsin Supreme Court race tonight, according to the Associated Press. And Taylor's victory secures a liberal majority on the Wisconsin Supreme Court through at least 2030. For more on this, we want to bring in Fox 6 Milwaukee.
What's up, Wally? Great to see you in the chat, bro. Good morning.
He's Jason Calvi. Jason, tell us how these numbers broke down tonight. We're going to pull up the breakdown of those votes.
Yeah, Shauna, we're still getting votes tallied across the state of Wisconsin here, but it looks like Judge Taylor, the liberally backed candidate, is close potentially to 60% of the votes here in battleground Wisconsin to the conservative backed candidate Maria Lazar's close to 40%. Those numbers are still being finalized here in battleground Wisconsin. But this is a big improvement for the liberal side. Back in 2025, we had the most expensive Supreme Court in United States history right here in Wisconsin in 2025. And at that time, the liberal-backed candidate Susan Crawford won about 55% of Wisconsin, and the conservative candidate Brad Schimmel won about 44%. So you're seeing a big increase for the liberals this go around. This doesn't change the balance of power in the Wisconsin Supreme Court. Right now, it's 4-3. Liberals have 4 justices. Conservatives have 3. A conservative justice was not seeking re-election, so that led to this open race right now today. And what now happens is the liberals are going to grow their majority when Judge Taylor is sworn in this summer, and they're going to have a 5-2 majority. And as you mentioned, the next opportunity for Republicans or conservatives to flip the court won't come until 2030, because they're going to be defending a couple seats in the next few years. The next chance, they're going to have to win all of those races, and then they'll have the opportunity in 2030 to potentially flip the court back to the right.
Damn, that's a long time.
And can you talk more a little bit about the significance of this more long-term for the balance in the Wisconsin Supreme Court, and especially for the Democratic Party here, Taylor securing a 10-year term, as you said, on the highest court there in Wisconsin.
Damn, it's 10-year term? I didn't realize that's how long the term is.
What is the impact of this for politics there?
Yeah, it's going to be huge, Shauna. As you think about the Wisconsin Supreme Court, we have had a number of very controversial, very contested issues over the years. One of those issues was under Governor Scott Walker, Act 10, which put restrictions on public unions, governmental unions in the state of Wisconsin. There was massive protests during that time under Governor Scott Walker, Republican governor here. And the Wisconsin Supreme Court ruled on that particular piece of legislation, Act 10. Then when we had a Democratic governor, same thing. We had various orders that were put into place during the pandemic. One of those was a kind of a shutdown order, safer at home order, as he called it, as well as a mask mandate. And both of those issues made it all the way to the Wisconsin Supreme Court in 2020 during the pandemic. Another issue was the 2020 election making it to the Supreme Court. So again and again, this High Court of Wisconsin hears some of the most controversial issues. And looking to the future, some of those issues that this liberal majority could potentially decide could be issues like abortion, or it could be issues like legislative maps. They already ruled against the Republican-drawn legislative maps for the State House, and that led to Republicans passing the governor's proposal for maps, and that really shrunk the Republican majority in the legislature a few years ago when the liberals flipped this court in 2023. So there's been a back and forth on legislative maps, and another question moving forward in the years to come is the congressional maps, because right now the Supreme Court hasn't struck those down, but they are potentially weighing that in the lower courts of Wisconsin, so it's possible that
so it's in the air, right?
Of congressional maps could make it all the way to the Wisconsin Supreme Court, and that could potentially again change the balance of power when it comes to congressional districts in the state of Wisconsin, like they did already for the legislative districts a few years ago.
Yeah, that's crazy. All right. So at least you guys know that is happening up there in Wisconsin. So let's go ahead and move on, though. Trump to suspend bombing of Iran. Quote, big day for world peace. This came out this morning, by the way. Or I'm sorry, super late last night. It came out theoretically, I guess, midnight my time. So theoretically that's morning, but you guys know it was late last night, right? So anyways, before we get into the Pentagon's update, we're going to play this real quick, and then we'll see what the Pentagon's update was just right before we started the live stream was when it came out. So
Welcome back to Live Now from Fox. I'm Shauna Kalafi. A live look at the White House tonight. Earlier today, President Trump making a big announcement on Truth Social, saying that a 2-week ceasefire agreement has been reached between the U.S. and Iran. That came less than 2 hours before President Trump's 8 p.m. Eastern deadline tonight, when he demanded that Iran reopen the Strait of Hormuz to commercial vessels or face attacks from the U.S. targeting Iran's power plants and bridges. So some big news coming in the situation in the Middle East. For more on this,
oh shit, we haven't even done that. Good call there, Steve. You know, we haven't even done the money part. We haven't done it at all.
All right, just get the money part done.
Give me money. Money me. Money now. Me a money needing a lot now.
Now that is actual factuals.
Denied.
But I still love you guys.
I want to bring in UCLA political scientist Benjamin Rod. Thank you so much for coming back on the show with us. Just let us know, what do we know so far about this ceasefire agreement? A lot of pieces of information still coming out.
Yeah, indeed. It's still new.
Can this guy get a fucking microphone? Jesus, come on.
Bruh. It's still somewhat confusing.
Let's go ahead and, I'm representing UCLA. I'm a political scientist. I'm all this shit, right? You're going to be speaking in front of the world. Yeah, let's just be on this shitty ass laptop with no microphone. Come on.
And I think one of the things to point out is we've seen now 2 statements made by the Iranian side. We've seen an initial statement by
What's up, Suzette? Great to see you in the chat, by the way. Good morning to you and happy hump day.
Foreign Minister Artemis that in very diplomatic terms sort of acknowledges that this offer was put forward by the Pakistanis, that the U.S. is on board, and that there is some kind of an agreement reached on the parameters of the deal. And then we saw not long after that a statement released by the Supreme National Security Council of
He totally does, Cameron. That's hilarious, yo.
Iran, which is essentially the council or the committee that encompasses the IRGC, that is in control of the country, or is at least running the military campaign. And they said something that was far more aggressive. It had 10 points, one of which included Iran effectively controls now the Strait of Hormuz, that sanctions are to be lifted, that restrictions on Iran would be lifted, that the war would be brought to an end, that the United States would pay reparations. I mean, there's several other components to it, almost all of which would seem like non-starters to...
Yo, TVT, it's so weird how it says became a YouTube member or whatever. I think you just continued it. But anyways, I very much appreciate that, TVT, for rejoining up with the Insane Wheels family. Absolutely appreciate it. Making it rain, my man. Appreciate that. Jimmy Mac says, Mad Media, Mike. That's true. Facts. But I very much appreciate that, TVT, and thank you for the membership.
To President Trump or to the U.S. side, and no recognition.
Oh, and Sterling just gifted out one as well. Bro, thank you very much for that. It definitely goes a long way. Someone else gets to enjoy it as well, man. So you're helping me and them out as well. We got Tommy in the building. Shout out to you, by the way. Make sure that you, drive safe, man. Just go ahead and tune in and listen to what we're saying.
No acknowledgement of Israel's role in any of this. So the point I'm making is it really is sort of confusing as to what exactly is the Iranian position, what are they agreeing to, and is there agreement within the regime itself? And that's, I think, what is being called into question.
And as far as Israel's involvement in this, the Associated Press was reporting that the 2-week ceasefire plan actually extended to Israel and Hezbollah fighting in Lebanon. But we actually have a new post from the Israeli Prime Minister. We want to pull that up, kind of contradicting that report, saying that Israel supports President Trump's decision to suspend strikes against Iran for 2 weeks, subject to Iran immediately opening the straits and stopping all attacks on the U.S., Israel, and countries in the region. Israel also supports the U.S. effort to ensure that Iran no longer poses a nuclear, missile, and terror threat to America, Israel, Iran's Arab neighbors, and the world. The United States has told Israel that it is committed to achieving these goals shared by the U.S., Israel, and Israel's regional allies in these upcoming negotiations. They say the 2-week ceasefire does not include Lebanon.
So there's Bibi Netanyahu is saying the 2-week ceasefire does not include Lebanon, at least from his side.
So just a little bit of that contradiction, the different...
And here's the thing. I mean, we never were striking anybody in Lebanon, meaning Hezbollah. The United States strictly stayed within Iran in that aspect of what they're attacking. They were attacking all the Iranian shit over there. Everything that the war that's happening up there with Hezbollah is essentially just helping Iran as the war is going on the Israel end. So there's multiple angles of this war.
Information coming from different parties, as you mentioned. How likely is it that all parties involved actually carry through with this 2-week ceasefire and stick by those agreements here?
Well, if we look at more recent ceasefires between similar groups, between Israel and Hamas during their conflict going back 2 years, and then between Israel and Hezbollah.
Yeah, you talking about the length there, TVT? Or are you talking about the badges when you get a certain... I think we have it all the way up to 3 years or something like that. 3 years, there's different badges for memberships.
In both of those instances, a formal official ceasefire was declared, both sides agreed, and yet we still saw an exchange of rocket fire and military activity by both sides, usually one claiming that there's a violation of the terms by the other and then responding in kind. Despite these skirmishes, the ceasefire, for all intents and purposes, still held, and at least technically was in place. So I think what we might see is, yes, a quote-unquote continuance of the ceasefire, and yet we might see limited certain operations of a specific kind. You noted in that clip you just shared, or in the post you shared from the Israeli Prime Minister, that Hezbollah is not included in the ceasefire.
Nah, TVT, it goes all the way up to like 3 years or something. Naomi can confirm that. How long our loyalty badges are.
Now, the Supreme National Security Council of Iran, in its statement it released, had called for, as part of its 10-point plan, the end of all offensive attacks against the axis of resistance, which is the term that Iran uses to describe Hezbollah, Hamas, the Houthis in Yemen, and the PMF group in Iraq. So all that to say that Iran is expecting Israel to cease any attacks on Hezbollah, but it doesn't look like Hezbollah is part of this deal. So again, we're left with conflicting information as to exactly who's involved and what conditions apply.
All right, so let's go ahead and move on into the last segment of the morning. And actually, we're going to run into a little bit of overtime doing this. So make sure you guys hit that like button. We're going to go a little bit past our normal allotted time, but we do have a big conference here. The very first update on Operation Epic Fury from the Pentagon after the ceasefire has been announced. So this came out right before we started the live stream this morning, just a little, I guess it came out like an hour before we started. So this is like 2 hours old. Here we go. I'm going to put the playback speed up.
Has been a threat to the United States and the free world for 47 years. Chance of death to America, targeting our people, killing Americans, lying and blackmailing their way toward a nuclear weapon, so they thought.
Welcome back, Virginia Chaos. Perfect timing. We're just starting the Pentagon update this morning.
Longer. Not on our watch. Other presidents marked time and kicked the can down the road. President Trump made history. From the strike that took out Qasem Soleimani, to tearing up the disastrous Obama-Iran deal, to the precision campaign that obliterated Iran's nuclear sites in Operation Midnight Hammer, to the decisive military victory.
Shit. We got Sterling Wheel coming in with the 420 saying overtime pay. My man, thank you very much for that. Showing a little support for the OT. You know what I mean? I very much appreciate that, kind sir. And we gotta light up for that number.
We just achieved in Operation Epic Fury. No other president has shown the courage and resolve of this commander-in-chief. President Trump forged this moment. Iran begged for this ceasefire, and we all know it. As the President truth this morning, a big day for world peace. Iran wants it to.
Yeah, but the truth is we're begging for it too. We got a lot of political pressure, not only from the outside world, you know what I mean, from the rest of the world, but political pressure from within his own nation, being the United States.
Happen. They've had enough. Operation Epic Fury was a historic and overwhelming victory on the battlefield. A capital V military victory. By any measure, Epic Fury decimated Iran's military and rendered it combat.
Nah, but I should grab a beer right now. Shit.
Ineffective for years to come. You see, in less than 40 days, one of our combatant commands, Central Command, CENTCOM, using less than 10% of America's total combat power, dismantled one of the world's largest militaries. The world's leading state sponsor of terrorism proved utterly incapable of defending itself, its people, or its territory. We untied just a fraction of our strength, and Iran suffered a devastating military defeat. Together with our Israeli partners, America's military achieved every single objective, on plan, on schedule, exactly as laid out from day one. Iran's Navy is at the bottom of the sea, whether it's the Soleimani class, their frigate class, their prized drone aircraft carriers, submarines, mine layers, sunk. Iran's Air Force has been wiped out. Iran no longer has an air defense, any sort of a comprehensive air defense system. We own their skies. Their missile program is functionally destroyed. Launchers, production facilities, and existing stockpiles depleted and decimated. And almost completely ineffective. Iran shot hundreds and hundreds of missiles and one-way attack drones at our aircraft carrier. They were obsessed with it, and they never got even close. Every single one of those shots easily shot down miles and miles away from the Abe Lincoln. They were blowing ammo into fantasy.
What's up, Brother Dean? Great to see you in the chat, by the way. And you guys, we've got over 320 people in here between both live streams. Let's make sure we get the likes up. Very much appreciate it. Double tap that screen if you guys are on the vertical side.
Contrast that with, most significantly, in last night's wave of more than 800 strikes, we finished completely destroying Iran's defense industrial base, a core pillar of our mission objective. What little they have left buried in bunkers is all they will have. They can still shoot, we know that. Their command and control is so decimated they can't really talk and coordinate, so they still may shoot here and there, but that would be very, very unwise. But they can no longer build missiles, build rockets, build launchers, or build UAVs. Their factories have been razed to the ground, set back in historic fashion. You see, had Iran refused our terms, the next targets would have been their power plants, their bridges, and oil and energy infrastructure, targets they could not defend and could not realistically rebuild, it would have taken them decades, and we were locked and loaded. They couldn't defend against it. President Trump had the power to cripple Iran's entire economy in minutes, but he chose mercy. He spared those targets because Iran accepted the ceasefire under overwhelming pressure. The new Iranian regime understood that a deal was far better than the fate that awaited them. This new regime just happened to look at what happened to their predecessors. Their top leadership was systematically eliminated. The previous Iranian supreme leader, dead. The Supreme National Security Council secretary, dead. The Supreme Leader Office advisor, dead. The Supreme Leader Military Office chief, dead. The defense minister, no longer with us. The IRGC commander, dead. The Armed Forces General Staff commander, dead. The intelligence minister.
You get the point.
Dead. The IRGC Navy commander, no longer here. The IRGC intel chief, dead. I skipped over a bunch, and I could go on and on and on.
A few moments later.
So-called new supreme leader, wounded and disfigured. This new regime was out of options and out of time, so they cut a deal. They know this agreement means that they will never, ever possess a nuclear weapon. Under the terms, any nuclear material they should have will be removed. Any material, they should not have will be removed. Right now, their dust is deeply buried and watched 24/7 overhead. The president has been clear from the beginning, there will be no Iranian nuclear weapons. Period. Full stop. Other presidents
totally true there, Sterling,
said
by the
it.
way.
President Trump did it. Operation Epic Fury. Less than 6 weeks, clear mission, decisive action, overwhelming firepower, America first, a historic battlefield victory. For decades, Iran killed Americans with roadside bombs in Iraq, using cowardly proxies to do their dirty work while they hid safely in Tehran. They struck our embassies with car bombs and attacked from the shadows, never daring to face us toe-to-toe. They thought they could bleed America with impunity. Well, they just learned the hard way what happens when you try to fight us directly. And even when they got lucky, one time in 40 days, and downed 2 of our pilots, they couldn't hold them. In a daring 14-hour rescue operation, 7 hours in daylight and 7 hours of night, both pilots were recovered safely. Not once, but twice. A daylight thunder run right up the middle of their country, boots on the ground. A midnight raid right up the middle of their country, boots on the ground. 0 American casualties. The Iranians humiliated and demoralized. We control their fate, not the other way around. That's why they came to the table. Iran's defeat is America's retribution for every American lost to Iranian terror, especially those brave troops killed by Iranian-made roadside bombs in Iraq that my generation knows so well, and for the suffering their regime has inflicted around the world. Now we have a chance at real peace and a real deal. The War Department, for now, has done its part. We stand ready in the background to ensure Iran upholds every reasonable term. And as everyone knows, nobody makes a better deal than President Trump. To the warriors of Epic Fury, I say well done. You're the backbone of our country. Your skill, your bravery, and sheer guts and grit showed the world what America is all about. I'm proud of you. We're proud of you. The President is proud of you. Job well done. But stay vigilant and stay ready. To the families of our fallen, your sacrifice was in service of a historic cause, and we will always remember your heroes, our heroes. We will continue to honor them. And to our Israeli allies, thank you for being a brave, capable, and willing ally on this battlefield. The rest of the world and the rest of our so-called allies saw what real capabilities look like. They should take some notes. Our troops, our American warriors, deserve the credit for this day. But God deserves all the glory. Tens of thousands of sorties, refuelings, and strikes carried out under the protection of divine providence. A massive effort with miraculous protection. Dude 44 Bravo spoke for all of us. God is good. The chairman will now provide an even deeper military detail on the historic success of Operation Epic Fury. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary, and good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for being here. I want to start this morning by honoring the 13 members of our American Joint Force who were killed in action thus far during this operation. Their sacrifice.
Shit, if you're talking about me, yeah, we just chilling over here having a good time.
And that of their families is deeply important to us, and we are grateful for each of them, and will continue to mourn their loss. Their names and their bravery will never be forgotten. On February 28th, the President of the United States ordered the Joint Force to execute Operation Epic Fury with the direction to accomplish 3 distinct military objectives: destroy Iran's ballistic missile and drone capabilities, destroy the Iranian Navy, and destroy their defense industrial base to ensure that Iran cannot reconstitute the ability to project power outside their borders. Over the course of 38 days of major combat operation, the Joint Force achieved the military objectives as defined by the President. We welcome the ongoing ceasefire, and as the Secretary said, we hope that Iran chooses a lasting peace. But as Secretary Hegseth said, let us be clear, a ceasefire is a pause, and the Joint Force remains ready, if ordered or called upon, to resume combat operations with the same speed and precision as we've demonstrated over the last 38 days, and we hope that that is not the case. I want to congratulate and thank the leadership today at U.S. Central Command, including the Commander Admiral Brad Cooper, the Deputy Commander Lieutenant General Kevin Leahy, the Senior Enlisted Leader Fleet Master Chief Compton, and every one of the component commanders, senior enlisted leaders, and especially the staff down at U.S. Central Command, who does not get called out for any of the credit, but grinds 24/7 to help offer the options that we bring to the Secretary and the President. I also want to highlight the forces in the United States European Command under the command of Alexis Grinkowicz, who protected the western flank in support of CENTCOM. And I want to thank our partners across the intelligence community. Our ability to see and understand what an adversary is doing help us to be as decisive as we must be on the battlefield. And that includes DIA, NSA, NGA, the CIA, and the National Reconnaissance Office, and others. I want to thank the other combatant commands who have thus far contributed along the way to U.S. Central Command. This includes Transcom, Stratcom, Spacecom, SOCOM, and Cybercom, all of whom poured all in support of CENTCOM's efforts. And I want to thank, as the Secretary did, our Gulf partners who fought alongside each and every one of us every day. From the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Bahrain, Qatar, Kuwait, and Jordan, all who joined us together to defend and protect our people and our assets, and who, if required, stand ready to do so again. And I want to thank my team at the Joint Staff, who work literally around the clock in order to help me offer the options that I must with the associated risks to the Secretary and to the President. They are the hardest working people that I know, and I am deeply grateful for their service. Most importantly today, I want to thank America's members of the Joint Force who've poured everything that they can into Operation Epic Fury, and their families who've worked 24 hours a day for 38 days. The Secretary and I could not be more proud of each and every one of you. And we deeply appreciate the support of the American people, who we know always have us in our thoughts and prayers. And we can feel this literally every single day. As the Secretary said, the United States has devastated the regime's ability to harm Americans and our interests for years to come. Since the beginning of major combat operations, the United States Joint Force has struck more than 13,000 targets, including in that 13,000, more than 4,000 dynamic targets that popped up on the battlefield and were immediately addressed, thanks to the exceptional command and control system and intelligence, acumen, and agility of our Joint Force. CENTCOM forces destroyed approximately 80% of Iran's air defense systems, striking more than 1,500 air defense targets, more than 450 ballistic missile storage facilities, 800 one-way attack drones storage facilities. All of these systems are gone. We've devastated Iran's command and control and logistical networks, destroying more than 2,000 command and control nodes and degrading their ability to target U.S. and friendly forces. It is, and we know this, incredibly frustrating right now to be a lower-level Iranian commander trying to fight your fight. As the Secretary said, the Iranian Navy now lies mostly at the bottom of the Arabian Gulf, and we assess that we've sunk more than 90% of their regular fleet, including all of the major surface combatants, as the Secretary said. 150 ships are at the bottom of the ocean, and half of the IRGC Navy's small attack boats. Joint fires protected from the land, sea, and air executed more than 700 strikes against naval mine targets, and we had assessed that we destroyed more than 95% of their naval mines. And perhaps most importantly, we've destroyed Iran's defense industrial base, their ability to reconstitute those capabilities for years to come. We attacked, along with our partners, approximately 90% of their weapons factories. Every factory that produced Shahed one-way attack drones was struck. Every factory that produces the guidance systems that go into those drones was struck. Their missile defense industrial bases shattered, with more than 80% of their missile facilities gone, as well as their solid rocket motor production capability. It will take years for Iran to rebuild any major surface combatants, as more than 20 naval production and fabrication facilities have been damaged or destroyed, and nearly 80% of Iran's nuclear industrial base was hit, further degrading their attempts to attain a nuclear weapon.
Real quick, I got to give a big special shout out to the mods. Thank you guys for being, total fucking gangsters. I appreciate it. I got to show you guys some. Listen, this is my message to the haters that are just like always got to talk shit or whatever. This is like literally me and how I deal with it.
Man, motherfuckers talk all the shit they want. But you see me, I'm sitting up here snacking on this big ass sandwich, not getting a fuck. Kiss my dick, motherfucker.
True. Never gave a fuck, never will. All right, here we go. Back to this shit.
Throughout Operation Epic Fury, our joint force struck at the heart of Iran's ability to project power and threaten the United States and the region. And in order to do this, it required the service and sacrifice of more than 50,000 American warfighters deployed across CENTCOM, EUCOM, and stateside. The Joint Force flew more than 10,000 missions, including 62 bomber missions, 18 of which flew round trip from the United States to deliver military.
And real quick, actually, we got a Cash App that came through from Virginia Chaos saying overtime, gas, or some grass for 420. My man, thank you very much. Making it rain in the Cash App, man. I very much appreciate it. It adds up.
On bombs on military targets. Each of these missions was more than 30 hours in duration, and we did that 18 times. No other military in the world can do that. And it's a testament to the logistical force that quietly serves behind them. I cannot thank TRANSCOM and the Air Force Tanker and Mobility Force more. Combined with Army and Navy joint fires, we struck more than 13,000 targets. And along with our Gulf partners, we've thus far intercepted 1,700 ballistic missiles and one-way attack drones, defending our forces and our partners.
What up, Fidel? Good morning to you, and hopefully you're enjoying your hump day so far.
In the civilian population, and we remain ready to do so should the need arise. Along the way, we consume more than 6 million meals, and by my estimate, more than 950,000 gallons of coffee, 2 million energy drinks, and a lot of nicotine, but I'm not saying that we have a problem.
Oh, shit.
I've laid out the statistics, but it does not truly capture the nature of combat. This is gritty and unforgiving business. It's chaotic, it's hot, it's dark, it's unpredictable, and there's always unknowns. And our people proudly walked into those unknowns and continue forward. And through it all, the Joint Force has demonstrated the unwavering resolve that the nation demands of us. We are a mission-focused force, and our objectives always is to create the conditions for peace, and today we have, while be ready should that peace break, which we hope it is not. And we remain ready. Before I turn it back to the Secretary, I also want to quickly revisit the rescue of the Air Force fighter crew over the weekend. To give you an update, we've had, the Secretary and I have had the profound honor of speaking directly with many of the warfighters on that mission, from the downed crew that were picked up to those forces that went and got them. Hearing these stories firsthand has only deepened our appreciation for their tenacity, creativity, courage, and grit of the American Joint Force. This is a story that gets to the very heart and soul of who we are as a joint force, who we are as Americans. Selfless sacrifice in service of others. From the backseater, Dude 44 Bravo, whose pure and unadulterated joy at seeing those helicopters come into the valley to get his front seater in daylight because he knew the front seater did not have a jacket, and was so filled with heart-leaping joy at his front seater getting picked up, to the nighttime folks that went in and then got him, to the tanker forces that did the things that they had to do to give their own gas away to the support packages, to those that went into the desert landing site not once, not twice, but 3 times as we fought through multiple contingencies. This was and is a joint force that has the guts to try, that does not quit, and who each and every day does the things that we must to dare to win. No lives were lost. We succeeded because the Joint Force is always at the ready. They trust each other, they trust their leaders, and they trust their training. And they remember first, foremost, and always that we do these things so that others may live, and we will never leave anyone behind. The success of Operation Fury thus far, and we hope it remains, culminates with this incredible rescue over the weekend, a direct example of the professionalism and courage of the United States military and our joint force. It's the service members on the front lines, our partners in the region, our teammates in the intelligence community, our civilian leaders in the OSW side of the house, the American workers who build the tools and weapons that we use, and the American people who back us up that help us to go do these things. I stand here humbled today, but frankly not surprised by what the Joint Force has been able to do. Their performance is fueled by a deep commitment to each other, their mission, and to our country. It is an incredible, deep honor for me to be a part of this Joint Force, and I'm humbled by the service and sacrifice each and every day that I am lucky enough to see. And finally, as I always do, I ask that we never forget our fallen and their families, especially those 13 fallen from Operation Epic Fury. May we always be worthy of their sacrifice and honor their legacy. And with that, sir, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And before he gets into the questions, because right now he's about to turn it over to, get into questions over there, let's go ahead and do like proper propaganda here. You know what I mean?
Maybe you need to donate some freaking money. Donate. Maybe you need to donate some freaking money. Maybe you need to donate some freaking money. Donate. Maybe you need to donate some freaking money. Donate some freaking.
And you must embrace your fuck ups.
Don't beat yourself up over past mistakes. You are going to fuck up again in the future, quite possibly in a most spectacular fashion. Why worry about yesterday's fuck ups when you have tomorrow's fuck ups to look forward to? You are a fuck up, and fucking up is part of your growth process. Embrace the process.
Embrace thy process. All right, back to this.
We'll take a few questions.
Alexander Ingersoll, One America News. First of all, thank you.
And that's true. Virginia Chaos has definitely paid his dues. You know what I mean?
Our troops. What role is our military playing in escorting vessels through the Strait of Hormuz at this point? And the president said on Truth Social that the U.S. will be hanging around to make sure everything goes well. Obviously, Mr. Secretary, you just mentioned, we know the scars from hanging around in Iraq for decades. But what does that entail in terms of our military presence at this juncture?
Yeah, we'll be hanging around. We're not going anywhere. We're going to make sure Iran complies with this ceasefire. And then
of course, they're not going to go anywhere. But I'm glad that is answered, because some people are like, oh, so do you now like just leave the area for a while and then come back? No, everything stays in place.
Ultimately comes to the table and makes a deal. So we'll stay put, stay ready, stay vigilant, as the chairman laid out. Our troops are prepared to defend, prepared to go on offense, prepared to restart at a moment.
Yo, DWD coming in with the $5 saying, I don't know why I'm donating. Listen, you got hypnotized. You know what I mean? I very much appreciate that, man. Much love, honor, and respect. Thank you for supporting the show, my man. First time seeing you in here, and thank you for the donation.
Notice with whatever target package would be needed in order to ensure that Iran complies. As far as the Strait, you saw the initial agreement that was struck, which is Iran's letting ships go through. So they'll be that will be happening. They will be sailing, and ultimately, as the president, we've done an incredible job militarily inside the Strait of Hormuz. What Admiral Cooper, I failed to mention Admiral Cooper's name. He's done a phenomenal job, along with everybody at AFCENT and NAVCENT and ARCENT and all the components down there, laying the groundwork for Iran. Iran doesn't have the same ability to defend it the way they did before, and so as the president has pointed out to the rest of the world, we barely get any of our energy out of the Strait. Just a tiny fraction. It's time for the rest of the world to step up and ensure that.
Right. We get 1% of the 20% that essentially goes through there yearly. So, yes, but you got to remember oil and gas is a global market, not a just, hey, we're only getting 1%. But I understand what his point is like, hey, everyone else uses and gets affected by this shit. Why are we defending when we only get 1% of this shit? Why wouldn't you be more apt to be willing to like interject and help? And that's what his point is right now.
That stays open after President Trump and the War Department brought Iran to the place where they're voluntarily opening it right now, as was announced last night. Yes, Jerry.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary, and thank you both for the update. President Trump posted on Truth Social this morning that there has been a very productive regime change in Iran, and that there will be no enrichment of uranium, and the U.S. will work with Iran to dig up and remove the deeply buried nuclear dust. So I just have two questions here. So both you, Mr. Secretary, and the President have referred to a new regime in Iran. So is this not the regime that was at war with us for 47 years, and what do we think of when we're saying that this is a new regime, what are we thinking and what are we saying there? And then my second question is, with any future deal with Iran, is their handing over of all of their enriched uranium and they're promising not to enrich any future uranium a non-negotiable for the U.S.?
Well, it's always been non-negotiable that they won't have nuclear capabilities. And so right now it's buried and we're watching it. We know exactly what they have, and they know that. And they will either give it to us, which the president has laid out. They'll give it to us voluntarily. We'll get it. We'll take it out. Or if we have to do
Always appreciate you, Naomi. Hopefully you have a wonderful rest of your hump day. Great to see you in the chat.
something else ourselves,
See you on the flip side.
or something like that, we reserve that opportunity. But what's clear, what the new Iranian regime knows, is they'll never have a nuclear weapon or the capability to get a path to one. As far as the new regime, you heard the list that I read. It's a new group of people who've seen the full capability of the United States military and has a new calculus about what it means to negotiate with us, hence why they came to the table wanting a ceasefire and the shooting to stop. So this new regime, which the regime has been changed, has a different interaction with the U.S. Right here.
Mr. Secretary, thank you. Of course,
I was going in front right here.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary and General Kane. Mary Margaret with the Daily Wire. 2 questions. Iran has said that safe passage through the Strait of Hormuz will be possible.
Yeah, Cameron, it's what Discord is it's essentially just a server for us, right? It's private to us. It's invite only. It's not open to the outside world. Anyways, so inside of the server, once you join in with the link, look for general chat, the hashtag general chat. That's where everyone sits there and talks and discusses and asks questions. But on the side, there's going to be a whole bunch of shit that you can select for like different rooms of different topics, right? Like motorcycle pictures or IRL pictures or whatever. There's all sorts of parts to it. So anyways, go explore with it.
Coordination with Iran's armed forces and, quote, technical limitations. What do you believe that means? And then we've also heard reports that Iran has continued striking targets well into this morning. At what point are we beyond a grace period? Are we giving them a grace period? Is there a miscommunication there? What's going on with that?
What we know is that Iran is going to say a lot of things. A lot of people are going to say a lot of things, claim a lot of things. What has been agreed to, what's been stated, is the strait is open. Our military is watching. I'm sure their military is watching, but commerce will flow. And that's what you saw the markets react to, is that reality. As far as shooting, that we were monitoring it last night in real time. Of course we are. Iran would be wise to find a way to get...
Hey, DWD, hopefully you have a wonderful rest of your morning as well. Thank you for contributing and hanging out with us, as well as engaging and hitting that donation. I very much appreciate that.
The carrier pigeon to their troops out in remote locations to know not to shoot any longer. One-way attacks or missiles, because it takes time sometimes for ceasefires to take hold. We're watching it. We're prepared if necessary, but we hope and believe that it'll hold. Yes.
Thank you, Secretary.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Excuse me. Why are you so rude? Just wait. I'm calling on people.
Oh, shit. Shit. Perfect timing there, Dean. That's hilarious, bro. I gotta hear this again. That was great. So... Hegseth is calling out someone over here, and some woman starts blurting.
We're watching it. We're prepared if necessary, but we hope and believe that it'll hold. Yes.
Thank you, Secretary.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Excuse me. Why are you so rude? Just wait. I'm calling on people.
Thank you, Secretary. Yesterday in the President's Truth Social, he threatened to wipe out a civilization. That statement elicited a huge response in America. If Iran did not come to the table and make a deal yesterday by the deadline, was the president really prepared to wipe out Iran entirely?
Like I said, we had a target set locked and loaded of infrastructure, bridges, power plants. Remember, this is a terror regime, a military regime. Use all of these things for dual use to fund their military, to fund their terror campaigns. We had a lot of legitimate targets. They knew exactly the scope of what we were capable of.
What's up, Papa Penguin? Good morning. Great to see you in the chat, bro.
We hit some military targets on Karg, which is a bit of a signal. They can't defend it. And so Iran ultimately understood their ability, their future, to produce, to generate power, to fuel their terrorist regime was in our hands, was in President Trump's hands. That's why they came to the table. He ultimately said, we can take it all from you. Your ability to export energy will be taken away. And the United States military has the ability to strike those things with impunity. That type of threat is what brought them to the place where they effectively said, hey, okay, we want to cut this deal. Yes, right here.
Good morning, Mr. Secretary, Mr. Chairman. David Zier, Real America's Voice. During the ceasefire, what do we do when we see Iran rearming, regrouping, repositioning weapon systems and air defenses? And also, have we confirmed the specific model type of air defense or man pads that took down our F-15, and is it still a threat for our patrols?
We're still working through the specific details around that particular shoot down. And the crews, when they normally return, go through a debriefing process along with the other members of that flight that were out there. And they'll go back, as they always do, and forensically look at what are the tactical lessons learned. Did we sense or see something? Could we have done something different? We do that, as I mentioned, in a prior press conference.
I always appreciate you, Yippin. Great to see you in the chat as well, my man.
Every single time we take any loss like that so that we become a quick learning organization. On the other part of your question around the movement of Iranian military forces, U.S. CENTCOM will continue to monitor that situation. They will continue to have a series of response options, and if need be, will come to the Secretary and to the President for guidance and be prepared to do the things that they're ordered to do so against valid military targets in accordance with the normal procedures that we have.
I would just note, it's a good question. The more Iran moves...
Yeah, Brian, he is very sharp with it, for sure.
The more Iran moves forces, the more they emplace forces, the more easily targetable they are for us right now. Remember, we're able to look, we're able to see, we're able to sense. We know where they. So if they try to preposition, they're just creating riper military targets for us to strike should they make the wrong decision at the table. Right here.
Mr. Secretary, Lee Martinez with ABC News. First, a question to General Kane, sir. In your personal opinion, were the risks of the Strait of Hormuz being closed because of the conflict, were they mitigated early enough in part of the decision-making process to lead up to the decision to take action against Iran? And in your opinion, is Iran in control of the Strait of Hormuz? We just heard the Secretary say that Iran is letting them ships through, which would imply that potentially it's not just. The Secretary also said that the U.S. That the strait is open. He did say that, sir. But in your opinion, sir, how can the U.S. ensure safe passage? Mr. Secretary, can you say today that the United States achieved, the administration achieved the military goals that you've constantly delineated? But strategically, is that a victory because of that? And also, you said earlier that the president chose mercy. But you yourself had said 3 weeks ago that we will give no quarter to Iranian troops. How do you correlate those two? And do you think that your comments may have put American troops at risk?
No. I try to be nice up here, but you did listen to what I said, right? I laid out the objectives. We believe we've accomplished them, and it's a historic military victory. And President Trump has the option as the commander-in-chief to compel an adversary to the table, which is precisely what he did. And at the end, he chose to say, you know what, I'd rather talk to you at the table than obliterate your capability to export oil and fund your terror regime. So he did make that choice. That was his choice. He was a president of peace, and he's been willing to make the...
Yes, by the way, let's get the likes up, man. We're on overtime today. All I ask you guys to do is hit that like button. Double tap the screen if you're on the vertical side. Thank you, guys.
Those really tough calls that the American people elected him to do. Nothing we've done. Not a single thing we've done. This is a typical, of course, it's ABC. Not a single thing we've done has put an American troop in more of a harm's way. We've only set our troops up to harm Iranian military capabilities, which they've done to devastating fashion and to great success. Mr. Chairman, you had a
There's a lot in that question. I'd love to take that offline and answer it, but I'm struggling to find exactly what your question was, and that's probably me, not you.
No.
Okay, all right. Sorry about that.
Mr. Chairman, it was an indictment framed as a question, so you're forgiven for not understanding. Go ahead, please. No, you've had your chance. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you very much. I believe so, based on the diplomatic negotiation. I believe so. I believe so. Sorry.
Mr. Kurd or Rahim Rashidi from Kurdistan. I'm Representative Kurdistan TV and Kurdistan 24 today. I have 2 questions. Mr. Secretary, will your forces stay in the region and continue to defend and protect your allies and take the responsibility for their security? Second question is, as you mentioned many times, that you have full control of Iran airspace. Do you still have this control or not?
Well, thank you for the question. The chairman mentioned the UAE and Bahrain and Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, who have fought shoulder to shoulder with us, especially in defense of our facilities, of our people, of their facilities, and we appreciate that. So that coordination, of course, will continue. And then when it comes to the skies over Iran, I would point to Exhibit A and Exhibit B, 7 hours in the day, 7 hours at night. If any foreign adversary attempted to do the same over our soil, they would have no ability to do so. Will they have a system here or there? Maybe. Do they have a network, a system that's capable of defending their skies? No, they don't. It's, as the chairman laid out, that's been dismantled, degraded, and destroyed. So it's a slight distinction, but an important one. Yes, right here.
Iran
Go ahead.
General George in the middle of a war.
Excuse me. You got a question? Go ahead.
Yes.
Two questions actually for you. So during this time, is the president are you still encouraging civilians to rise up against the regime, or are they satisfied with this new regime change, or is this two-week period to kind of see where that leads? Also, talked about the enriched uranium going in there. Would that require special forces or other military, our service members? Who would be basically going in there and trusted to going in there to get that uranium out?
Mm-hmm. Again, on the uranium, we're watching it. We know what they have, and they will give it up, and we'll get it, and we'll take it. If we have to, we can do it in any means necessary. So that's something the president is going to solve for. We already have Midnight Hammer with the place we put them in, and the reason it's in the situation where it is. The second one was about the people. Listen, I would love to see the Iranian people take advantage of this opportunity. They have been oppressed by the previous regime, and they'll have a new opportunity with this regime. That remains to be seen. That was not our objective in this effort, but they're brave people. Horrible things have been done to them by the previous regime, tens of thousands targeted and killed and assassinated in a way the government never should, and we wish them the best, absolutely. Thank you all very much. Appreciate it.
And that's the wrap right there, right when he says, appreciate y'all. Yeah, it's over. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for making this channel possible. And also thank you guys for engaging, hitting that like button, double tapping the screen on the vertical side and supporting the show. Listen, we're going to be back tonight, actually, for the Diamond Effect. We've got the Diamond Effect at 7:10 p.m. Central Standard Time. And then, of course, we're going to be back tomorrow morning for more of the World's Madness as we continue to report on all these things. Listen, make sure you guys stay safe out there. Much love, honor, respect, everybody. We'll see you guys very soon. God bless everyone. Much love.
From the depths of darkness, a voice emerges.